Welcome in, everybody, to the 40 Acres postgame show here live. I am Matthew Miller. Alongside with me is D4 Sports, and we are going to jump right into it. Texas, the last game of the regular season for the Big 12. We're the first ones to kick it off. And Texas wins 38. They beat Baylor 27. So all around, a great performance from the Longhorns, especially in the second half. It was very slow early on, but they got going, especially in the second half, and then even more in the fourth quarter. So great job from them. But the biggest issue, it's kind of a tale of, again, two halves. This time, actually, we played better in the second half, didn't play great in the first half. We looked kind of sluggish. I don't know if all of you guys in here are Texas fans or not, but this is kind of normal for Texas on Thanksgiving. They usually come out pretty slow and then play better in the second half again. In the second half, especially on I should say, the day after Thanksgiving on the Black Friday games. That's why us Texas fans really don't like to watch them. But our team usually struggles, like I said, especially in the first half. But all around, we got a good win. It could have been Bijan's last home game ever at DKR. So all around, we nothing to complain about. We end the season, D4, exactly where we thought we would, 8-4.
Yes, sir. And what great way to send off these seniors and those juniors that won't be back next season. I think it was a great send off, especially for Bijan. Uh, Seen him salute the crowd there at the end when we were at the goal line. But a great way to send them off.
Yeah, 100%. That's I'm trying to think the last time we won on senior day. I don't think we won last year. We didn't win. I don't know about Herman's last year either. So we probably did because we went 7-3 that year. But it's been very far and few between on senior days with the wins that we've had, just in general, but just especially on that day. I think it's important to send those seniors out right, especially when you're going through these periods of a downtime like Texas has been going through. Like, these guys have invested in this football program, and you're not really giving anything back to them. So it's really important to give back, at least on their last game, especially at home. Let's get into some of these comments. Corey Peacock, hey, I just got into the car leaving the game. Hook 'em. Yep, hook 'em. Win. No, 7-5 Sark, one of my favorite college football memes, is gone. To be fair, he's never gotten past 8-4. So you could have an 8-4 meme. Like, he's tied his best record he's ever had as a head coach. Hopefully next year, he can push past it, or even this year. There's still a possibility if Kansas were to beat Kansas State, we could head to the Big 12 championship game, or we could win the bowl game and he could get to 9 wins. But I don't think he's ever had a season over an 8 at the 8-win mark. And I know he hasn't had a regular season over the 8-win mark. And One Scoop John, thank you. Throw the video a like and subscribe to the Voice of College Football and the various other school channels. 100%. It really helps out the channel. Hit that like button, subscribe down below. Go over to the other teams that Mark has. Subscribe to the Michigan channel, the Iowa channel, the Miami channel, the Texas channel, the USC channel. All these guys do great work over here on the Voice of College Football, especially Mark. So please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Also, go over to D4 Sports. Hit that like button. Subscribe over there as well. It really helps out a lot, guys. Thank you very much. One Scoop John, yeah, Texas officially overcame my expectations. I thought it would be a 7-win Sark again. I thought it would be, like we said, D4 just a couple minutes ago. We both thought 8-4. Like, we went to the season thinking 8-4. The only difference is, I think you predicted the season basically 100%. I was off by 1. I thought we'd lose to Kansas State and beat Oklahoma State. You thought we'd lose to Oklahoma State, beat Kansas State, and that's basically what's happened. So I have no issues with the record that we have it at the end of the season, but it's kind of hard because if you were to tell people at the beginning of the season, hey, let's sign up for 8-4, we would have been fine with that. But then going back and watching these games, like we have 8-4, to be honest with you, we could have been a 10-2 football team. Don't you believe that, D4?
Yeah, very easily could have been. If we don't come out flat in the second half against Texas Tech, and of course, the Alabama game, it coulda, woulda, shouldas. In that game, we had a substantial lead on Oklahoma State, and the TCU game's the only one that I'm like, no, we got outplayed and we got outcoached.
Yeah, 100%. That's the one where you close the book on it, and I 100% believe that's a loss no matter which way you shake it. Obviously, the Alabama game, I don't know if we win that game if Quinn's healthy, but I think we have a really good shot at it. The two games that are going to piss me off going into the offseason are Texas Tech and Oklahoma State. We're better than both those teams. We played down to competition once we got that lead versus Texas Tech, and we just played an absolute terrible football game versus Oklahoma State. Quinn Ewers was under 50% completion percentage. Yeah, he might have been under 40%. It was very close. It was just an all-around horrific game played on the offensive side of the ball versus Oklahoma State. So those are the two games to me that stand out. But like you said, TCU absolutely dominated us, and it'd be nice to see them again in the Big 12 championship to maybe get some revenge. The real MVP, who do you guys want Texas to face in their bowl game? That I think we're probably going to end up, I believe, in the Alamo Bowl. So it'd be a Pac-12 team. You know what? Utah would be very fun. We'd get to face Cameron Rising after he transferred out of Texas. I think that'd be a very interesting matchup. I think those two teams are very similar. I think if they played, it'd be a very good game, especially if everyone was fully committed and no one opted out. What about you, D4?
I'd like to beat up on the Marcus Freeman led Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I think that'd be easy dub for us. And no, I'm just kidding. Now, ultimate goal is Kansas to beat Kansas State. That's still up there, and that's for us to make a Sugar Bowl.
No, 100%. That's definitely the number one goal. But it's hard to see that happening. I don't think it's going to happen. To be awesome. And then to play the Sugar Bowl, we'd probably end up playing LSU, or it might be a rematch versus Alabama. That would be very interesting as well, but those would be the two teams. So I think we could definitely compete and beat LSU, to be honest with you. Or I don't know if we beat Alabama, but then it's a tale of two like tapes there. Whereas Alabama, I think we can beat, but I don't think they're going to come into that game as fired up. So I think that gives us a better shot. Where LSU probably is going to come into that game fired up. They started out the season with a loss to Florida State and then played well down the stretch. So I think they're just going to be kind of happy to be there under Brian Kelly in his first year. So I think that'd be a very good game either way. It'd be interesting to play Alabama again, but those would be the two teams we'd probably match up with in the Sugar Bowl. But like I said, I think Utah will be fun as well. There's a lot of, I'm excited for the bowl season, not just for the game, but for the 15 extra practices you get. We really need those, especially with the young offensive linemen. We saw Devon Campbell come in for Cole Hudson after he got stretched out. He's a freshman. Devon Campbell came in as a freshman, replaced another freshman, and he played well in the run game, struggled in the pass game, but that man was moving people around on the defensive line of Baylor. Joey Foster says this. Is this true, D4?
Well, we all know about West Virginia fans and their sources. So, no, I'm just kidding. Joey likes to poke fun, and just never be anybody but a Texas man.
Joey Foster, man, I really need Texas to lose this game. It would have really helped me a lot. I think Texas finishing fifth, they're worst in the conference this year. So much for that. Congrats, Texas. Horns down. To be honest with you, this was a game, even though it was close, I never really thought we would lose. We were outplaying Baylor that whole game. It was a very weird game because Baylor ran almost double the amount of plays. They may have run double the amount of plays we had, which is absolutely crazy. And you really don't see that in football games, especially in a football game you win. I'm going to check that right now. But let's see here. One scoop, John, I'm pretty sure Alabama is going to make a New Year's Six bowl game. Yeah, they probably will. It's going to be probably LSU or them. Wind. That would be pretty fun to play Texas if we lose to USC. Hopefully we beat the Trojans and make a New Year's Six bowl. So I'm guessing you are a Utah fan. I think that'd be a very interesting game. I think any of those games, I think UCLA would be an interesting game in the Alabama Bowl. I think Oregon would be a very interesting game. USC would even be interesting, but I don't think we'll end up playing them. I think they'll obviously one of those four has to go to Rose Bowl. I think USC will either go to the Rose Bowl or the College Football Playoff, and two of them may. One of them may go to the College Football Playoff. One of them may go to the Rose Bowl. One scoop, John. I would like to see Texas facing Bama, but yours is healthy for all four quarters. Yeah, that would be very interesting. Like I said, it's also a matter of fact for Bama. Bama and Georgia are the only two teams to me in the country that can get away with saying we're better than this bowl that we're in. Like they've reached that point to where they can say they don't really take bowl games seriously, and I'm fine with that. That's why I don't know if they would take that bowl game seriously versus us in the Sugar Bowl. So I'd rather face LSU, to be honest with you. I want a competitive game. I want to get our team in an actual game where the other team cares in a grudge match, and that actually helps us improve on both sides of the ball. I don't want to get into a glorified scrimmage. I just don't want that. Joey Foster, be sure to hit that like button and share the video with a friend to double the numbers in here. Thank you very much, Joey. That is much appreciated. And guys, please do that. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. It really helps out the channel. D4, can you plug that Patreon real quick?
Yeah, man. Patreon, $5 a month to get access to Mark's picks for the week. Also, get access to the Discord server. We can talk to knuckleheads like myself, One Scoop John, Joey Foster, all those guys about college football 24/7. Like I said, $5 a month. That's nothing, and you won't regret it. You get to talk football with like-minded people like yourself, 24/7.
Yeah, guys, it's a great offer, especially $5 a month is nothing like. And you can also, if you had a super chat at one point, you can send that in and use that as your first month. That works as well. And I was actually wrong on the plays. In the first half, Baylor had 40 plays. We had like 20. In the second half, it was a totally different game. It ended up being 75 plays to 64, so it got a lot narrower than I thought. And that makes sense because at the end of the day, if that pace kind of kept up, Texas was going to be exhausted on defense. And the defense overall played well. They only gave up 20 points to Baylor. 7 of those obviously were a scoop and score of Quinn Ewers. D4, some things in this game did trouble me about Quinn. Again, he was very lackadaisical in the pocket, didn't play with a lot of urgency. Would you agree with that? And what do you think he needs to do going forward to change that?
Sorry, can you repeat what you said?
Yeah, Quinn was just super lackadaisical in the pocket in this game, I thought. And what do you think he needs to do going forward to change that? And what was your opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Alabama game we caught lightning in a bottle. He's regressed so much during this year. It's kind of sickening to watch. At times this year, like I've been screaming for Hudson Card, in these games because his footwork has been sloppy. He's not making the right reads. We talked about it weeks ago where he had Bijan on the wheel route and chose to throw it underneath because he didn't trust it. Something's ruined this guy throughout the season, and I'm not quite sure what it is.
Yeah, 100%. He's not the same guy. I 100% agree. What you saw in the Alabama game was what we would hope to see from Quinn Ewers going forward, and we just haven't seen that. Those are the best aspects of Quinn Ewers, and we haven't seen that. What we've seen now is a guy that has, I think, lacked confidence to throw the ball downfield, doesn't throw a great deep ball with touch on it. He doesn't, he seems, like I said, he seems too careless back there in the pocket, like things aren't that big of a deal. Like on that safety, he has the arm strength there to where if you roll out to the right, just fling that thing as far as you can down the field to the sideline, and there's bound to be a wide receiver down there. And instead, he just buries it 3 yards. It barely gets past the line of scrimmage, and it's clearly intentional grounding. You can't be doing stuff like that. He did bounce back from that, but let's be honest here. Bijan Robinson was the star of this game. He had over 150 yards again. He was fantastic. He's the leader of this team. He is offensively, like I said, 179 yards a day, 2 more touchdowns. We rode him on multiple drives there at the end to seal it. And thankfully for him, because without him this year, we're probably a 6-6 team. You're right. The defense only gave up, actually, they gave up 18 points because we gave up the safety as well. I totally forgot about that. So that's obviously not the defense's fault. I didn't forget about the safety, but I just forgot about subtracting that off. So that's very good. The defense as a whole has played fantastic this year. There's obviously been blips on the radar where you see them versus Texas Tech struggle a little bit, versus Oklahoma State struggle a little bit, but for the most part, they played very well. Whereas the offense has been way more inconsistent. Obviously, other than Bijan, Xavier Worthy has had trouble catching balls, and then he also has had issues tracking them. We've had issues hitting the deep ball. We've had issues hitting the deep ball here for the past decade. That's been like the biggest thing, other than the 1 year with Shane Buechele, really under Charlie Strong. That's the only year that comes to mind where we kind of hit the deep ball consistently. Yeah, so we really need to get that, especially in the Steve Sarkisian offense. He really likes to run and then hit you deep, and we just haven't been able to do that. Sark attack trajectories look good for Texas. I mean, yeah, you can say that. I think the bowl game will tell us a lot. It's just like Tom Herman from year 1 to year 2. You kind of saw good trajectory there, and then you saw that team take off and win that Sugar Bowl. Hopefully, we see something like that in the bowl game this year, where they look good, they practice well with those 15 extra practices. The young guys get some playing time, and we look good going into next year. And next year is the year to prove it. Like we said, D4 from the beginning, this was a building block year. Next year is the year we have to go out and win the Big 12.
Yeah, there's some things that need to keep progressing. This offensive line, even though young, we're going to have to replace Christian Jones at right tackle. Does Cam Williams come in there? Does DJ Campbell? You know, we have to, settle on that. They have to keep progressing as well. The quarterback situation, Quinn Ewers is going to have to make drastic uh, improvements from now till next year, and you're going to be replacing who I think is the best back in the country in Bijan Robinson, and probably the best backup running back in the country in Roschon.
Yeah, that's for sure. I don't think there's really a debate about Bijan being the best running back in the country, in my opinion. I don't think there's ever been a debate. I know Ohio State fans, it's hilarious when you look back on it. We're debating Travion Henderson. You see where that ended up. The guy's running behind a good but not great offensive line. He has the best balance I've ever seen out of any running back, pro or college, and his vision is very good as well. So we're going to be losing a very special player unless he may decide to stay. You never know with NIL money, but I just don't see him staying because running backs especially have a short lifespan, and you need to strike while the iron's hot, and hopefully he does that. Does Bijan get an invite? I don't think Bijan gets an invite to New York because there's only a certain amount of invites you're going to get. Like, I think the most they're going to have there is 5. And let's be honest here, you're going to have Caleb Williams, you're going to have CJ Stroud, you're going to have Blake Corum most likely. So that's 3 right there. And then there's even more guys that don't come off the top of my mind right now. But this year's Heisman field is very deep, and it's going to be interesting to see who wins it. Hell, Bryce Young is having a better year this year than he did last year. He's not going to win it because Alabama's not as good. And when you win a Heisman already at this standard, you're going to have to blow people out of the water with the numbers you put up, plus also win. And he just hasn't been able to do that. He's put up great numbers, but he hasn't put up blows people's head away numbers. And then also he's not winning as what he was last year. But so I don't see Bijan getting invite for that reason. If we're 10-2 and we had more wins, I 100% think he gets an invite, and I think he deserves an invite. I think he's one of the 5 to 7 best players in college football, period. I don't care what position he plays. He may even be the best, but the Heisman isn't about being really the best player. It's about being the best player on the best team, and that's really in all sports. When you look at the MVP trophies or stuff like that, it's rarely the best player wins. It's about being the best player on the best team or one of the best teams.
As soon as they update the stats on ESPN, you'll see that Bijan has less carries than Corum, more yards, and equal touchdowns.
Yeah. So, and he's played absolutely fantastic the last 4 games, especially. Joey Foster, I don't think Kansas will beat K-State. I'm just saying that what the stakes are if K-State loses, but if Kansas State wins, which they will, then it's TCU versus Kansas State in the Big 12 title game. Yeah, that'll be an interesting game. I think obviously Kansas State was beating TCU at the time. I believe, what was it, 28-10 D4, and then both their quarterbacks got hurt, and then TCU came back and beat them. So I think Kansas State can definitely win that game. I know I had Kansas State in the Big 12 championship game at the beginning of the season. I think I had them playing Baylor, so I was wrong on that. And I think I'd have to go back and look. I may have had them winning. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I thought this Kansas State team was good from the beginning. I didn't think they were going to necessarily be the second best team just because the whole league was down the way it was, but that's how it turned out to be. And they're still a good football team. And it would have been interesting to see how many wins they would have had if they were to stay completely healthy the whole season, because that's one of the things they've had to deal with Adrian Martinez being hurt, and then Skylar Howard is his name, or is that his first name? Or Will Howard, but they've really struggled there at the quarterback position to stay healthy. But when they've been healthy, they've been good, and they almost beat TCU. And I think if they beat Kansas tomorrow, I think they have a really good chance of beating TCU in the Big 12 championship game.
And let's be honest, TCU's MO has been to take out the starting quarterback. They did it against Kansas. They've done it against Oklahoma, Kansas State. I'm not sure about Oklahoma State, but I'm kind of wondering if their coach told them not to hurt Quinn Ewers to keep him in the game in the TCU Texas game.
That could be the case. I mean, he played abysmal in that game, and it's not just him. The whole offense was just out of sync, out of whack that whole game. But Paxton is saying Notre Dame in the Cheez-It Bowl. I mean, I'm cool with that too. Some of these matchups are really good matchups. I'd be cool with any team of the top 4 of the Pac-12. I'd be cool with Notre Dame. I'd be cool with Alabama, LSU. Any of those would excite me. Anything else that I can think of doesn't really excite me that much, but those games definitely do. Notre Dame might make New Year's 6th if we beat USC, but would love that game. If not, would love that game. Texas to the Alamo Bowl, and I'm not sure, but I think they could have Tennessee if SEC have tie-in. That'd be fun as well. That'd be a very interesting game. There's a lot of interesting possible matchups. Obviously, with Hendon Hooker out, that's not as interesting, but it's still an interesting game. And I forgot about Tennessee. We could have played them in the Sugar Bowl too. I don't think they'll get there now if Hendon Hooker's not healthy, and he's not, obviously. And there you go. One Scoop John. If you're already on Amazon for Black Friday, might as well click Mark Rogers link and support it. It's the same shopping experience, 100%. Hit that link, use it if you're using Amazon. It helps out Mark, and it requires little to no effort. So please do that. Please help out the channel. Please do that for Mark. Do that for all of us as well, because we like to support Mark, and because he supports us with giving us a platform to talk as fans. So thanks to him for that. And hit that like button, subscribe down below as well. D4, do you think Jaylen Ford comes back for next year?
For some reason, I think he does. I think he needs one more year to solidify himself as a first, second round pick. I know he's come on a lot this year, but I don't want people to look at him as like a one hit wonder. So I think a second year would do him well under PK's system.
Yeah, and I think I would agree with that. And I also think it's going to tell us a lot about our culture, because we've had guys in the past declare early, even though they're like 4th or 5th round picks. And I think Jaylen Ford's a little bit better than that. I think he's probably a 3rd round pick, but I 100% agree. He has a chance to be a late first round, 2nd round guy if he comes back. And that, like I said, if he comes back, that tells us a lot about the culture. And he's been spectacular. Came up with his 4th interception today. He's leading the team in tackles. I believe he leads the Big 12 in tackles. He's just been fantastic. We talked about DeMarvion Overshawn coming to the year, and we talked about after him and Jaylen Ford and then David Benda, that we didn't know like who was going to have to step up if someone got injured. And luckily we stayed pretty healthy at that position. And Diamante Tucker Dorsey was okay when he played. He's smaller and struggled in some getting caught up behind the line and in the run game and not being able to see and attack the holes, but he was okay. But so that position actually became probably our best unit on defense because of Jaylen Ford. Jaylen Ford was spectacular at throughout the season, especially after the first game. He averaged basically 10 tackles a game. So hopefully he comes back. It will really help us out, especially since we're already losing DeMarvion Overshawn and Deshaun Jameson. So it really helped out on that side of the ball. And also not to mention Keandre Coburn, probably T'Vondre Sweat as well. So if Barron Sorrell can take another step, Jaylen Ford can come back, take another step, and Jahdae Barron comes back and takes another step, this defense can be even better next year. Paxton, defensive player of the year in the Big 12. It's either going to be him or, again, I think I predicted this as well because I was heavy on Kansas State. I forget how you pronounce his name, but the defensive lineman from Kansas State. I'm terrible with pronouncing his name. I'm not even going to try it, but he's probably up there as well, especially if Kansas State were to win the Big 12 championship. Joey, I took NC State in an upset over UNC today, but looks good. Time will tell. What's the score of that game right now? Also, Joey here. Support Mark Rogers, the voice of college football, by searching Mark Rogers TV on Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App, or Super Chat below. 100%. It helps out the channel, guys. Please do that. Yeah, Paxton, number 91, 100%. I'm not even going to try to butcher his name, but he's very good. It was either, like I said, I think my top 2 candidates were Defensive Player of the Year were him or the defensive lineman from Iowa State. Again, name escapes me.
Will McDonald.
Yes, thank you. Those 2 guys were I know my 2 picks. I went with the guy from Kansas State that I will not even try to pronounce his name. 14-3 Wolfpack. Okay. Yeah, I think North Carolina State's actually a pretty decent team. Obviously, Leary getting hurt killed their chances. And the ACC is just a hot mess, to be honest with you. After Clemson, I don't know if any of those teams are good, but who knows? Okay, D4 predictions for some other games around the country. What are you thinking about the Ohio State Michigan game?
Oh man, it honestly depends on the health of Blake Corum, of course, because it's the heart and soul of their offense. I know he was walking around handing out turkeys. I called it a 27-24 game either way. It's going to come down to the trenches. If Ohio State doesn't make drastic improvements in the trenches from their games earlier in the year, I see Michigan just running the ball down their throat. But like I said, it's a 27-24 game either way. I can't call it.
I'm going to say something that I didn't think I was going to say. I'm from Ohio. I do not like Ohio State. Let me repeat that real quick. I do not like Ohio State. I think Ohio State's going to absolutely dominate Michigan tomorrow. I don't think it's going to be close. I think what happened last year is influencing a lot of people's decision making, and I think the weather's going to be good enough to where C.J. Stroud exposes Michigan's defense on the back end, especially with the wide receivers they have. Obviously, I know Michigan has a great front seven. They're obviously the better running team as well. But I just have that feeling, and I don't like that feeling. I don't want to have that feeling. I don't like Ohio State, but I think Ohio State wins this game 38-20. I just don't I don't know why. I just have that feeling. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope Michigan wins. I'm not an Ohio State fan. I will never be an Ohio State fan. I think Ohio State fans are obnoxious as hell, but I think they're going to win pretty easily as well. And I don't even think they're as good as the number 2 team in the country. To be honest with you, I think there's Georgia and then there's a lot of drop off. And I think 2 through 10 can beat each other any day of the week. Yes, quorum Ohio State close to no quorum Ohio State big. Will agrees with me. And I think I don't know. Like I said, I don't know why, but it'll be an interesting game. It always is. It'll probably be the most watched college football game of the year, like it usually is. But that's what it is. Thoughts on Notre Dame USC? I think USC wins that game just because I think Caleb Williams is the best player in the country. I think he's the best quarterback in the country. I think he's going to be the number 1 draft pick next year when he comes out. So I think USC wins, especially being at home. I think that helps out a lot if they're playing in South Bend and probably pretty crappy weather where USC is not used to playing in. I think Notre Dame would have a chance, but I think USC wins by 10 points. I think it's like a 31-21 type game. What about you, D4?
Yeah, I was in the Discord that you can get into by joining the Patreon. By the way, I was talking to Will about this game. I think that USC is the type of team that will make another team start to press the issue and get out of their comfort zone by the way that they can score all the weapons that they have. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think they're going to cause Notre Dame to get out of their comfort zone. Tommy Rees is an offensive play caller. I don't think he's a very good play caller in general as anyway, but I think they're going to cause him to press and get Drew Pine out of his element. And I think USC takes it.
Yeah, like I said, I think the weather would have been a big factor if they're playing in South Bend and being in out in California. I just don't see that. And Caleb Williams is just playing at an unreal level right now, and I think he's the best player in the sport. And like I said, I think he's the most talented quarterback. I think he's going to go number 1 when he's eligible. So I think USC wins that game. One Scoop John on D4 Sports Show. I predicted Michigan 30, Ohio State 27 in overtime. That'd be a really good game. And like I said, I'm not an Ohio State fan. I don't want them to win. I just want to see a good game. I just have a weird feeling that Ohio State's going to roll. And I'm usually way better at, like, if you asked me an hour before game, my predictions would probably be I'm right 75% of the time. I do better as the game gets closer. Obviously, we're pretty close to it, but if you would ask me a week ago, I might have said Michigan were to win. So we'll see how I'm feeling about an hour before game time. But right now, I think Ohio State rolls. We have to make Caleb Williams look ordinary, stop the run without blitzing, and limit big-time plays and keep him in the pocket. 100% agree. He's the most dangerous quarterback out of the pocket. You saw the throw. I don't know if anyone else has seen it. I'm sure if you watched the game last week, you saw it versus UCLA, where he was rolling out to the right. It's basically rolling out to the left and drifts his whole body to the left and just unleashes a rope like 15 yards down the field on the sideline. And they showed the same throw of him doing it in high school. And this guy's just so dangerous out of the pocket. He has such a good arm. He's so talented. I'm so glad that he's out of the Big 12 and out of Oklahoma, because let me tell you, that Red River rivalry when he came in last year was not fun, with him running around all over and also throwing it down to freaking Marvin Mims off of crazy platforms and making crazy catches. That was not fun. Mizzou 17, Arkansas 14, Nebraska 10, Iowa 0. Wow, I'm not really surprised by the first one. I'm kind of surprised by Nebraska beating Iowa. It's very interesting though that Matt Rule seems to be the guy now in Lincoln. I think that's a really good hire. I'm not I mean, that guy loves to coach. I'm interested to see how much like he settled with for the Carolina Panthers because he was owed like 50 something $1 million. And it's very hard for me to believe that he's like, no, I want to coach really bad. I'm going to give up 50 million. So I'm sure they were kind of a check for like 25 to 30 and then said, you can go coach if you want to, which is insane to me that he's going to be double dipping and making an absolute shit ton of money. Cause I'm assuming Nebraska's probably going to pay him $6 to $7 million a year. If Corum Edwards and Schoenmaker play and Bell and Wilson catch balls, we win. I mean, that's the thing. I'm not saying Michigan can't win, but I just have this gut feeling that it's not going to be a close game. I I just don't trust JJ McCarthy from what I've seen. I don't think he's good enough to compete in a back and forth game, and I think that's what it's going to be. I just don't see this being a slugfest with the weather conditions tomorrow. I think it's supposed to rain, but it's not going to be like last year where it's snowy and cold. It's going to be rainy, 40s, I think mid 40s to low 50s. I think that's a game that Ohio State can pull away in, especially when CJ Stroud is throwing it around. But I 100% agree with you on this one. One Scoop John Rule is a great hire. We saw what he did with D4, or we saw what he did with Baylor, right? D4. I mean, he came in and revamped that program when they were going through that turmoil, kind of what Bill O'Brien did with Penn State.
Oh yeah, he was definitely a program builder, and I think he was building something special before he bolted to the NFL.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Guys like that, the program builder types that can resurrect programs on a pretty consistent and pretty fast pace are not NFL types. NFL types are more X's and O's, get along with players, managing a locker room. And I don't think Matt Rule's that type of guy. I think he's more of a father figure where he takes these guys in, finds them from like he likes the 2 and 3 star recruits that and then gets them to buy into a system and builds them up. That's not really an NFL guy to me. And I think he'll do a good job in Nebraska if Nebraska gives him time. I think if he gets 4 years there, I think they'll probably win 3 to 4 games his first year, 5 to 6 his next year, 7, 8, and then you'll see 9 to 10 win seasons probably consistently if they give him the type of chance he needs. And also if he can just take recruiting just a little bump up. I don't think they have to have a lot because like I said, he does a decent amount with a little bit. If you look at Baylor's roster, they're not filled with 4 and 5 star guys. It's mostly 2 and 3 star guys that he developed, especially that defense they had when he was there. That was very good. Mark Rogers talked it all week. Casey Thompson to Trey Palmer's Nebraska's path to victory. Yeah, it'll be interesting if Trey Palmer is there next year. Casey Thompson probably will be there next year, but Trey Palmer may be heading to the NFL. We'll see if Matt Rule can convince him otherwise and see if he can stay. Paxton, you can say that for football. Do not be saying that for basketball because I cannot wait until we play them in basketball. We're going to kick their ass. I watched them this week in one of the invitationals. I always forget them for confused. It was either the Maui or the Bahamas. And they look pretty good, but I think we're a better basketball team. We'll have to see going forward, though. We'll play each other pretty soon.
Yeah, they play Tennessee tonight in the championship game of that invitational.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll definitely watch that. But the Grady, I know his last name, Dick, he's a very good player. So he's a freshman for Kansas. If anyone likes college basketball, go check out him play. He's very good. And it's going to be fun in the Big 12 this year. I don't think there's a dispute. The Big 12 is the best basketball conference. And to be honest with you, when Texas and Oklahoma leave, it may get even better because you get BYU, Houston, UCF, and Cincinnati in. So that Big 12 is by far the best basketball conference. We have the SEC likes to point at titles. We can point it with titles in the basketball. We got Baylor and Kansas back-to-back years. So we'll get off of that. This is football. I thought it would be Bill O'Brien because Rule can afford a year off. 100%. That's what I'm interested to see what he settled for. I don't know if that will come out with the Panthers, but Bill O'Brien, I would assume, gets a job somewhere. I think he's a good head coach. I don't think he's a good. I actually compared them to on a preview on Mark's, or actually this was after we cut the video, but I talked to Mark afterwards and I told him Bill O'Brien and Matt Rule are basically the same guy. I think they're very good at getting in people into their system, building a decent culture, and then also getting them to buy into the system and taking guys that aren't greatly talented and have them playing above what they should be playing at. And you saw Matt Rule do that with Baylor, and you saw Bill O'Brien do that with Penn State. And I think they're very similar in that aspect, but I don't think they're good NFL coaches. I also don't think they're great offensive I don't think he's a great offensive play caller. Bill O'Brien, that is. He's just not. I mean, if you see at Alabama, he's very average in my opinion. But I think he'd do a good job if he got a decent job. I know the Georgia Tech job's been floated out there. I don't know if I like him for that type of job. I think he'd be a really good fit at not a good fit, but like a Wisconsin type job. That'll be interesting to see who they hire because Jim Leonard, I don't think is the guy there.
I hope he stays at least one more year until we play them next year.
Yeah, that would be nice because I think our defense will be better next year and their offense will probably be worse because Bryce Young will not be there. Their wide receivers will be back, but then they won't have Jahmyr Gibbs or Bryce Young, and that helps out a lot. Has that been reported? Jamie Chadwell is going to Georgia Tech? Because I haven't heard anything on that. I saw the Bill O'Brien thing. That may have just been a crazy rumor. But we'll see. It'll be interesting to see who Auburn hires as well. Unless Lane Kiffin, yeah, they said Jamie Chadwell did interview for the Georgia Tech job. Unless Lane Kiffin just flat out came out, which he could do because he's been known to be a scumbag later. But that was early on in his career when he was a lot younger. So I'll give him a break. We'll see if it happens again. But he basically said he's not leaving. So I don't know if that's going to be true or not. And it'll be interesting where Auburn pivots and who they hire. One scoop, John. If we lose to 3-win Nebraska, if Iowa loses to 3-win Nebraska, they have to fire Brian. They should have fired him a long time ago. I don't know what's taking so long. Nepotism is crazy in football. From you see officials with children who are not good officials getting jobs. You see guys like in the coaching trees getting jobs just because their dad or someone they know got them that job. And you see that with Brian Ferentz. I mean, he's terrible. Iowa hasn't been good on offense in a while. And let's be honest here, Petrus is not very good at quarterback either. So that whole thing needs. I honestly, if I'm Iowa, I think Kirk Ferentz is on very thin ice for me if I was an Iowa fan, but I'm not.
Let's see. The thing about it is, he's not allowed to supervise his own son as far as hiring and firing. It's the athletic director. So ultimately, if the athletic director has had enough, he can fire him.
And that would be interesting if that would cause him to quit too. I don't know if it would. And that's maybe what the holdup is. I don't know. I'll take 8-4. We all will. Actually, I'm fine with it. I want to win the bowl game though. I think 9-4 obviously is better than 8-4. And hell, if we get to the Big 12 championship game, let's go for 10-4. But that's going to be tough because I don't know if Kansas can beat Kansas State. One scoop, John. I'm going to troll Corey, the Iowa fan, hard if they lose to Nebraska. Honestly, other than Ohio State, Michigan, and then Penn State, which D4, what is Penn State's best win?
Maryland.
Yeah, why are they ranked number 10 in the country? Like,
your guess is as good as mine.
like they're literally ranked because they lost to number 2 and 3. And by the way, neither of those scores were close at the end of the day. Like they were competitive, but they weren't a close football games. So I don't understand why they're ranked 10, but it is what it is. I don't think the Big Ten is very good in my opinion. I think it's Michigan, Ohio State, and then everyone else. And a lot of those teams play 1980 style football where it's three yards in a cloud of dust basically, and it's very boring to watch. But that's just my two cents on the Big Ten. I'm forced to watch it because I live in Ohio, so that's on all the time around here. It's just like there's always been an argument against Big 12 defense, and I agree. Big 12 defenses are bad, but they're a lot worse. When that debate was happening, because they're not bad anymore. But when they were bad, they weren't as bad as people thought they were because the offenses were so good. And Big 10 defenses are never as good as you think they are because the offenses are that bad. It's not that hard to understand. I don't know why people really debate that. I mean, if you look at the Big Ten, the last good quarterback to come out of the Big Ten was Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson transferred in from NC State. So I've never been a fan of the Big Ten conference as an offensive conference. It's very boring to watch other than like 4 teams.
I've seen powder puff girls teams run better offenses than the Big Ten West.
Yeah, I could definitely. I mean, I would love to see IMG's academy, like their offense, put them in with Iowa's defense, and I bet they're a better football team than they are now. Like I bet a really good high school football team, like an IMG or a John Bosco out in California, Modern Day. I think they could all just transfer all their guys from high school onto their field at Iowa for their offense, and they'd be better off because their offense is abysmal to watch. It's really pathetic to watch. One Scoop John, the McDonald's Playhouse.
Hey, that's what I call it, the McDonald's Playhouse division.
It is bad. It's just like, what is it? The ACC Coastal. I mean, the ACC Coastal is really bad too. It's abysmal on that side as well. But those are, I believe, someone called into Mark and was talking about like the power rankings of the divisions, and the Big Ten West was the sixth best, or the ACC Coastal was the sixth best conference. The Big Ten West was the fifth. That was like 3 weeks ago. It may have changed, but like the Sun Belt was ahead of them, one of the Sun Belt sides, and I'm not surprised by that at all. Sun Belt has some pretty good teams, and both those divisions are terrible. And it's going to be interesting, the ACC championship game between North Carolina and Clemson. I think Clemson's going to absolutely destroy North Carolina. I don't think it's really going to be close. I don't think, like I said, that side of the conference is very good. I like May at quarterback, but other than that, it's very North Carolina is very suspect. Drake May is very good, but that's about it. And there's already rumors that people are going to start in the NFL tanking for him or trading up for him. It's kind of like the Tua stuff that happened a couple years ago, which is crazy, but you do you. Guys, can you please hit that like button? Please subscribe down below. It really helps out the channel. I'm going to throw up the score real quick again because I haven't had it up that much. Texas wins 38-27. And you are listening to the 40 Acres postgame show here on Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. And like I said, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Go over to the other team channels, like their content, subscribe as well. Go over to D4 Sports, like his content, subscribe. Really helps out his stuff as well. Thank you guys for being here. And D4, can you plug that Patreon again real quick?
Yes, sir. Patreon, $5 a month, guys. Get access to Mark's picks for the week. Get to get on the Discord server and talk football like we are here 24/7 on private StreamYard. One Scoop John, Will ND, Joey Foster, myself, Tim, Tony, all those guys from USC are on there. Like I said, we just talk football 24/7. No politics involved, just straight football. $5 a month, can't beat it.
Yeah, guys, it's a good deal. So please go over there and do join that as well. Here it is. One Scoop John again with the Patreon link. Just hit that link, go over there, sign up. Really helps out. Will IMG would have a better offense than Texas A&M as well, 100%. That's going to be interesting. If Texas A&M is going to probably finish 3-9, I believe I read somewhere they don't have any offensive players at the quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, or running back positions recruited at the top 10 in their positions coming in, or maybe not at all, which is either way is insane how the recruiting has fell off. And I can tell you why. NIL, the boosters saw what they got on their return and were like, we're not giving you any money to put out that product, period, point blank. It's going to be interesting how many guys transfer out of there. And that's what happens when that's your recruiting pitch. Your recruiting pitch should never be, here's money, come to our university. Come to our university, play for us. And then you know what? You might get some money, or you will get some money, but you're coming here for the university. You're not coming here for the money. Most of those guys went there for the money, and you see what's happened. What do you think, D4? Do you agree with that?
You know what? To hell with Texas A&M. I hope they lose every recruit they got. Hope we get Evan Stewart, Anthony Hill, all the guys, so they can actually see what a Texas team really looks like.
Evan Stewart would be very nice. Someone to go along with Xavier Worthy. We have really struggled there to have someone blossom alongside Xavier Worthy. Obviously, Isaiah Nair was going to be that guy from Wyoming, but he got hurt in the offseason with the ACL injury. But that would be very fun to get him in there. And then you have all three of them for 1 year. And that'd be a very fun offense, not even including Jatavian Sanders, who played well again today. That guy needs to be used a lot more. We saw Keelan Robinson, D4, finally getting used out of the backfield, throwing a little bit more. That was nice to see as well. But overall, we just need to do the things that on offense that we're good at more. That's my biggest. It's not even that hard. Just do the things we're good at more. It's not asking a lot. Use Keelan Robinson more in the pass game. Use Jatavian Sanders more. And eventually, we need to be able to hit balls to Xavier Worthy.
100% agree.
Padilla sucks. Nebraska scooped the ball and now might go score again. So it would be 17-0 at that point. Nebraska, that's pretty crazy. I mean, that whole side is just bad to watch. I don't even want to watch that game, to be honest with you. Guys, thank you for being here at the 40 Acres postgame show. Again, we're going to flash up that score. Texas beats Baylor 38-27. We end the regular season 8-4. Hopefully, we're praying for a Kansas beating of Kansas State, so we can get in that Big 12 championship game, get some revenge on TCU. If not, we're going to head to a bowl game, which will most likely be at that point be the Alamo Bowl or the Cheez It Bowl. Hopefully, play a good opponent, get in good practices with all the young guys, and capitalize off this offseason and build forth towards next season and have an even better season next year. Like D4 and I have said the whole year, this was a building year. Next year is the year, guys. We have to win the Big 12 championship or at least be in it. In my opinion, we have to win it, but the minimum has to be being competing in the Big 12 championship game. So it's been awesome to be with you guys. We'll be here for the bowl game. And if there is a game next week for the Big 12 championship game, we will be here for that. So please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. D4, do you have anything more for the people?
No, just again, thank you for being here with us all season long. Thank you to the people that aren't fans of Texas being here. One Scoop John, Will. These guys are always here to support anything that happens on Mark Rogers. And like I said, we just appreciate every one of y'all. Please hit that like button, subscribe, all that good stuff, and just keep coming back.
Yep, guys. And as always, Texas wins 38-27 and hook 'em.
Welcome.